That is around 8 years. Start now to save money to marry. I mean, 5 million naira to marry is going to be saved. It's going to be complete in around 2033. Now, know the shame for this country, and Nigerian youth are not doing anything. Somebody is talking about tax in 2026. I want to build house. You want to build house. The most simple house that you can build in Nigeria, even if it's one room, one toilet, just more house that you want. And in as much as you have a roof, you have a block house, you have a roof, you have doors, you have windows, it's going to cost you nothing less than 10 million naira in Nigeria. Do you know how long you are going to save that 50,000 naira before you can build a house in Nigeria? You are going to save it for 200 good months. That is approximately 16 years. This is how blurry the future of Nigerian youth has become because of this administration, and nobody is saying anything about it. Forget about you that is doing maybe anything that you are doing. Maybe you are doing some freelance work, or maybe you are doing Yahoo, or you own a business that is giving you sustenance, that is giving you more money than this. We are calculating this based on standard of living in Nigeria, because standard of living in a country can be approximately calculated from the average salary in that country. This is the standard of living in Nigeria. This is how deteriorated the system has become. And somebody is talking about tax in 2026. I'm making this video for Nigerian youth. You people that fail to understand how blurry your future has become. House, 50 million naira house, which is actually a poor man house, and you are saving from your salary. I'm just here to tell you that you will need to build that house in around 2035, 2038, or 2040. Your life does spoil. When a life does spoil, Nigerian youth, when a life does spoil. And you know who they spoil in a life? Now, old man will go even die soon. Old man where nobody know whether he go reach 2050. Now in they spoil everybody's future. And people move they look at like this. Gentlemen, Nigeria
is so corrupt, which I regret the day I was born in this country. It's unfair. This is unfair now.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not. Let's be poor. Breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility. If we reduce the purchasing power of the people, we can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax net. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the net get bigger and we'll take in more taxes, and that is what we must do. If we lend ourselves to innovation, we can create wonders. Here is a successful again, a town hall, different from Blue Bulaba.
So they will ask you that must you use an iPhone? Or it's just painting the picture of what it is like to live in Nigeria and be earning that ridiculous amount. You get that now? So he forgot to say by 2026, you won't be able to buy an iPhone 17 in 3 years because you are heading 100,000 naira, because that 100,000 naira means that your annual income is 1.2 million. You go pay tax. So that means you probably will be taking home 1.1 million. So divide that by 12, it's not going to be 100,000 anymore. So by the time you start paying those rent and all of that, right, you won't save. You won't be able to save up to 30,000 naira. So if we now put that into consideration, it may be up to 2033 before you'll be able to afford iPhone 17. Or must you use iPhone 17? How about you want to have your own house? So just forget about those things. Just collect the money, eat, sleep, wake up, work, eat, sleep, wake up, and live your life until you can't do it anymore. And around that time, if you live like that, Isn't it better for somebody to just probably just die than to start queuing under the sun for your pension, which in itself, at that time, may likely not be enough to even pay for your medication. In old age, medication you need, if you're retired, that's going to need medication, regular medication, Baba, that can pay for it. Because you've used all your energy at the time to work for peanuts that kind of like make you poor, because the system you are operating in is rigged against you. Do you understand? It's rigged against you. It's not equal, it's not balanced. You need to see through that your years in this life can just pass so fast before you could even like get to understand what's your purpose on this earth. That's the much the society they have created. Is a scary, scary one. And there are people who are falling below the safety net. They are practically inside the poverty basket, which makes Nigeria the poverty capital of the world. Scary. You need to see the poverty, children in poverty, elderly in poverty. When they have stats or statistics on them, you will weep in that contraption. And in that same space, you see all these guys who are living opulently, they're living so large. And they will tell the people that they've never been poor. They've always been rich. Do you see a poor man contest election? Do you see a poor man win election? I've always been rich. So because I'm now in the public, I shouldn't buy the latest car. I shouldn't buy the new private jet. Morality. Or should I say, the moral decadence. But there are others who believe that there's nothing to celebrate, right? And the protest won't even fix it. First person, Sowore, talking about Nigeria's dependence.
Nigeria's independence is what we are pursuing. The one they are celebrating is the one of the colonial masters. Our own independence has not arrived yet.
Yes.
That is why annually we used to protest on Independence Day. We are still looking for independence. We want to be freed from neo-colonial masters and slave masters in our. We are still living in apartheid.
Yes.
Any country where people work and they cannot get pension is not an independent country. Any country where people speak and they get clamped down into prison or detention is not independent. That is what the colonial masters used to do to us. Yes. The colonial masters used to call what they call cyber crime. Now they used to call it the sedition law. If you speak, you go to jail against authority. So we are still looking for independence. Revolution.
Now, Sowore, and he's right. Usually they would have organized some street marching, street protests to, establish their displeasure again of why Nigeria is not independent, Dele Farotimi also added this.
Now, protests are very, very, very important, but we should also properly identify the issues. The people who invaded my offices to drag me to Ekiti, based on a charge unknown to law, were wearing RRS vests. That was the same SARS that people died to end. They changed the name. If you go to some of their formations, they are still using SARS. They didn't bother to change the stationaries. That is what protest produced. This system is unamenable to change. So if we are protesting, let us understand that the protest should be to end this system so that we birth a new country. It is the victims who have to recognize the fact that they are victims, and it is until when they have concerted their efforts as a collective that they can rest any concessions and get this system to change. Instead of anything changing over the last 65 years, as Prof has rightly pointed out, we've had generational failures. I would like to point out the fact that we often underestimate the impact of generationally weaponized poverty and weaponized ignorance on the populace. I first used the phrase weaponized ignorance and weaponized poverty when I was in the university. That's over 30 years ago. Prof just pointed out that we've had 65 years of 3 generations, successive ones, that have been failed by Nigeria. So when you see the seeming disconnect of the Nigerian from the protest, from the system, the seeming readiness to accept the madness that has overtaken us, understand that it is because what should be the middle class, the class that thinks, that imagines, that communicates to the lower class, has evaporated. So there is nobody preparing those who should protest for the purpose of protest. Now,
Do you get the message? They intentionally wiped off the middle class. The middle class are the working class. They are the engine room of any progressive society. They are the teachers, the engineers, the scientists, what do you call them? Like, that kind of professional level where they are, hands-on people, well paid. They would have their own homes, and they have families that they are running in a way that, Baba, if the policies of government is going to, by any chance, affect them, they are the closest people to, the poor, who can make the poor see that something needed to be done, or else your poverty will be pretty much like aggravated, and so many of us too. The threat of it is enough for us to fight and say, no, we won't. Just look away, but the greed, the systemic greed, generational greed. It's not even just generational greed, but the systemic greed from generations to now have succeeded in wiping it off. Where you see those who are supposed to be the middle class, they are already looking wretched. People who have jobs, but they appear jobless simply because the remuneration they give to them, right, is never enough by any means. So some of them have resorted into gaming the system, by becoming so corrupt enough that they also help to wreck the entire system. I don't know why I keep putting my stuff at the tip of it. Anyway, continue to wreck the entire system. So right now, the country is gone for it. There's no middle class anymore. It's just that those who are rich, super rich, those who are poor and very poor. There is no middle ground per se. So when you see those who are supposed to be in the middle class, then they, destroying the middle class of Nigeria, right? It's like when you have this hot knife slice through the butter like that. So you see those ones who are here that used to be the middle class organizing, the protest, the civil society organizations, blah, 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 blah. Majority of them have now been pushed to be part of the upper class. They've been given political appointments. They have been appointed ministers. They have been appointed, So to them, they are now seated there. Others who didn't have that chance in that middle class, they have become poor now, poorer. There are so many people that if you probably play back today, when, let's say, 20 years ago, the kind of people you have around where you grew up, I don't know about you, though, but I believe it's almost everywhere. You have this our street. There is this man and this family. They are really not so rich, but they are well to do that. The entire community knows them very well. They know what they are doing. That their children are then something just happened. They may say, oh, he lost his sheep on sea. Oh, he lost his goods. Oh, he lost his job. Or, something happened, and then boom, that family will just become so poor that you witness that, you look back and say, man, 20 years ago, Baba, these people were like, Omo, what happened? So that's the example of how the middle class became what you have today, Some felt they fell so hard. Others fell, they're still struggling. Those are the ones they will say, they are still all right, but they're not like before. They're struggling. While you see some who used to be the middle class before, they are today your favorite politicians. And I remember that time when he was, I remember that time when he was driving this 504. Man, you know what I mean? So that's what they have done to Nigeria. This is what they have done, unfortunately. So if you want that to change, it is the entire system that would have to change. It's the system that produces all kinds of characters, holding supposed important institutions, and then bringing them to disrepute, ridicule. One of them, again, institutions that have become so disappointing is the traditional institutions in Nigeria, where you have seen different characters who have displayed all unbelievable or unbecoming, unbelievable, characters that are so unbecoming of the kind of positions they hold, right? So we have the Ooni of Ife, and we also have the Dangbana Shoko, the Emir of Iwo, the guy who became Oluwo of Iwo, only for him to change the title to Emir, then change it back to Oluwo again. But I kind of love to call him Emir of Iwo. For those of you who probably remember that mental time, it was crazy, right? And he's always been in the news for all the wrong reasons. For that, you can give it to him. And it's not so different from the Ooni of Ife as well. So the Ooni of Ife became the Ooni of Ife and his wife. That didn't last, and he ended up having to go on and remarry. And this time he married more. And everybody seems to have become so cool with that. Like, you know what? That is his life. Oluwo Abi, the Emir of Iwo, now came out to he made a video. That's how he kind of make all his random, foolish videos like that on the internet. But this particular one is like a direct, direct shot at the Ooni of Ife. So what happened? I'm not saying I believe his story, but this is an Oba, a supposed Oba, royal father, a king of a kingdom, or somebody who is seated as a king of a kingdom in a war in Yoruba land. So he's sharing the story of his relationship with Ooni with us. I will let him speak so that I don't say what he didn't say, right? He's reporting the Ooni of Ife to us. Oluwo versus Ooni. Emir versus Ooni. Here.
This message is for Nigerians, especially the Yorubas. I'm saying this because I want other Nigerians to know. When I get on the throne, we see me talking about this Ooni Adeyeye. You will see me talking about what you don't know. I will tell you today. The governor of Osun State, commissioners, and all. This I heard Ooni Adeyeye, but because Ongbe Orisha law, he was holding Orisha as and me, God has put me as above Orishas, as a king. Well, let's look at it. And because of that, as a kingmaker or somebody that helped a king to become the king that I was, he doesn't want me to say the story in the future. He was looking for my downfall. Then the next thing, they packaged a woman. There was a woman that was packaged for me, but I don't know her from Canada. But it was packaged for me, it was a setup. After they set me up, they were talking to her in our own AI. She was in my house and they were talking to her and setting me up. Setting up with videos, setting up with many things. This wife will be this supposedly wife, an ex-wife. But it was death they sent into my house and they were communicating with her. She was there for over 3 years. She had a child, which I don't even know if it's my child now. I have to confirm that through DNA. Because they want her to kill me. She poisoned me 3 times. They set up assassination attempt. They did everything so that maybe the Arisha or the gods will kill me. But they failed. After I kicked this woman, when I found out the secret and I kicked this woman out, it was this Ooni that asked him, what was the lady doing with him in the hotel? I won't mention the hotel, but when there's clarification, I will be mentioning. I'm also Kenyan semi hotel Ipapo. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó òun náà ló gbalé fún àtọmọ àtìyàwó ní Ọọ̀ni Adéyẹyè Ògúnwùsì. Ẹ wá ní mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá jẹ́wọ́ ni ìyàwó tó fẹ́ pàwọ́. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá o, tó bá jẹ́wọ́ ni tó bá jẹ́yìn ni ìyàwó tí wọ́n set sínú ilé ẹ̀ tó wá pa tí ò rí ọ pa. Ìjà yóò lè tán láti máa bá lọ èmi ò sì ṣe pa ọba aṣoògùn títí òrìṣà ọtán Ṣàngó ò lè pè mí bàbá mi lòrìṣà bàbá mi ní Ṣàngó bàbá ńlá mi ṣùgbọ́n ọmọ gbọ́dọ̀ ju bàbá náà lọ mo ti dọ́ba lẹ́nu Ṣàngó ò lè pa mí Ṣàngó èsè criminal Ògún ò lè pa mí Ògún èsè criminal àwọn bàbá ńlá wa ni they are not criminals. So they won't be killing their children. Ògún àti Ṣàngó ìpààyàn. Ọlọ́run ọba Olódùmarè nìkan ló mọ̀ gbàdé yẹn. Kọ́ máa gbógun tò, kọ́ máa ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀. Wọ́n ní Ọọ̀ni ó suspend mi, Ọọ̀ni lè suspend yìí lọ́ba. Paramount ruler ó suspend another paramount ruler. So ojú mi lọ ní àgbáwò. Àbó fi pò jù mí lọ. Yamba set 1, 2, 3 ní Ọ̀ṣun kò ṣe pé àwọn paramount rulers wọn ò kàn lè kó gbogbo wa sí number 1 àwọn tá a jẹ náà paramount rulers. So kó ń kálukú lọ mọ pé n ti ń bẹ lẹ́yìn ọ̀fà ó jòjì lọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ṣe bí sí mi níjọ lẹ́yìn nígbà òun ṣéun àmọ́.
I'm highly disappointed of Nigerian government because the Nigerian government were highly disappointed in them due to foreseen circumstances. Definitely, I'm one of those people approving. People should die in coronavirus is more better than people should die in hungers. Hunger kills more than coronavirus because some people are less privileged. Due to foreseen circumstances that I said it, some people are less privileged, which they are based on daily pay, which are not even based on salaries. But our government thinks that the lockdown is the best solution to coronavirus and proving it to an extent and to the levels of alacrity that if someone die in coronavirus, it's more efficient to die in hunger because some people will be at indoor. There's no way to make